Now, I said, as this campaign went on, that if I didn't win, I would stand down as leader of UKIP. And I know that you in the media are used to party leaders making endless promises that they don't actually keep. But I'm a man of my word. I don't break my word. So I should be writing to the UK UKIP National Executive in a few minutes, saying that I am standing down as leader of UKIP. I will recommend that pro tem they put in place as acting leader Suzanne Evans, who I think has emerged from this campaign as an absolute tower of strength within UKIP.
Because the actual allegation is that a dead pig's head was resting in the lap of a dining club member, and then, and I quote, the future PM inserted a private part of his anatomy into the animal's mouth. Yes, this book actually contains a claim that David Cameron, Prime Minister of the UK, once put his dick in a dead pig's mouth. And look, this is just the word of a single source published in an unauthorised biography. We do not know if this is true, but please let it be true. Because a Prime Minister receiving oral copulation from a dead pig hits the perfect sweet spot between one of the most horrific things ever and one of the most amazing things ever. And again, this is based on a single source, and even the co-author's rationale for including it is a little thin.
We did think about whether we should put it in or not, and in the end, you know, it made us smile.
I have to say, we thought about whether to put it in or not, but in the end, it made us smile. Really sounds like something David Cameron would say after sticking his dick in a dead pig. If he did. Which he definitely did. I honestly don't want to look into this story too closely in case it falls apart. But to ignore it, simply because it might not be true, is to look a gift horse in the mouth. A mouth tenderly wrapped around the thrusting penis of British Prime Minister David Cameron. And it's made even better by the fact that it's almost impossible to discuss this story on television, even though many people have very clearly wanted to.
The lurid allegations that are made in this book, and we can't explicitly talk about them, obviously, because of the time of day.
The pig and what did or didn't happen. And now they've turned...
Enough said, I think, don't you?
Well, I could say a lot more on that.
Enough said.
Do you anticipate many leaving to join the Lib Dems?
Well, I think, you know, you've also got this issue of the Prime Minister putting his cock in a dead pig's mouth.
Okay, Dan, do you know what, mate? Right, one, it's an allegation. Two, your choice of language in referring to that, I think, far goes beyond what is permitted at this time of the day.
Now, our 6 pledges form the basis of our plan for working people. These 6 pledges are now carved in stone. They're carved in stone because they won't be abandoned after the general election. I want the British people to remember these pledges, to remind us of these pledges, to insist on these pledges, because I want the British people to be in no doubt. We will deliver them. We will restore faith in politics by delivering what we promise at this general election.
And what we know about fascists is that they need to be defeated. And it is why, as we have heard tonight, socialists and trade unionists and others joined the International Brigade in the 1930s to fight against Franco. It's why this entire House stood up against Hitler and Mussolini. It is why our party has always stood up against the denial of human rights and for justice. And my view, Mr. Speaker, is that we must now confront this evil. It is now time for us to do our bit in Syria. And that is why I ask my colleagues to vote for this motion tonight.
assist Comrade Osborne in his dealings with his newfound comrades, I brought him along Mao's little red book. Let me quote, Mr. Speaker.
Order! I want to hear about the contents of the book.
I think he'll find this invaluable. Well, let me offer. I thought this would help him, Mr. Speaker. Let's quote from Mao, rarely done in this chamber. The quote is this. Behave. We must learn to do economic work from all who know how, no matter who they are. We must esteem them as teachers, learning from them respectfully and conscientiously. But we must not to pretend to know what we do not know. I thought it would come in handy for him in his new relationship.
So the Shadow Chancellor literally stood at the dispatch box and read out from Mao's little red book. Oh look, it's his personal signed copy. The problem is, half the Shadow Cabinet have been sent off to re-education. That's the problem. You know, people treat this Labour leadership as a joke. They are actually a deadly threat to the economic and national security of this country.
Greens will ensure everyone has a secure, affordable place to live. How would that be brought about?
Well, a couple of things that we want to focus on here. In terms of council housing, we want to build 500,000 new social rent homes. That means council...
Where will you get the money from for that?
Well, what we want to do is fund that particularly from removing the tax relief on mortgage interest for private landlords. We have a situation where private landlords at the moment are basically running away with a situation of hugely rising rents. They're collecting large amounts of housing benefit.
But how much would that be worth, the mortgage relief for private landlords?
Well, that's part of the whole costing of all of this.
Yeah, but how much will that bring? I mean, the cost of 500,000 homes, let's start with that. How much is that going to be?
Right, well, that's you've got a total cost that will be spelt out in a manifesto.
So you don't know?
No,
no, you don't. Right. So we don't know how much those homes are going to cost, but the way it's going to be funded is mortgage relief from private landlords. How much is that worth?
Right. Well, what we're looking at in terms of the figures here, what we need to do is actually we're looking at a total spend of 2.7 billion.
500,000 homes, 2.7. What are they made of? Plywood.
But basically, what we're talking about is 500,000 new homes, and basically each £1 spent on this brings back £2.40.
No, but what is the total cost of 500,000 homes?
It's about a cost of £60,000 per home.
60,000 per...
Mm-hmm. Because what we're talking about is the opportunity
but
for...
that can't include the land.
Well, what we're talking about is what we want to see is the possibility of homes being built...
That's not much more than a large conservatory, £60,000. So where's the land? How are you going to pay for the land?
Right, well, what we're looking at doing is basically...
Are you all right?
Sorry, yes.
No,
as you can probably hear, I've got a huge cold.
I'm terribly sorry to hear that.
Yeah. So what we need to do is basically social rental homes.
Right. Still don't see how you're going to get this sum at 60. You don't actually know how much this is going to cost, do you?
Yeah, we have a fully costed program which we'll be releasing, which we've released.
Shouldn't you be aware of what that cost would be now?
Right, yes. So what we're talking about is $6 billion a year. So the current budget is $1.5 billion a year.
$6 billion.
Yeah.
So that will be attained by taking mortgage relief from private landlords. That's £6 billion worth, is it?
And we're also looking in investing. Yeah, well, we've got the fully costed figures here.
You've said that on a couple of occasions. How much does mortgage relief from private landlords bring in, then?
Basically, we're talking about an overall saving of £4.5 billion from the overall forms.
Mortgage relief is worth £4.5 billion a year?
And this is other
from
savings as well from
Oh.
private landlords as well. We're looking at housing benefit reforms, and what we also want to do is bring in caps on private tenants.
Yeah. Do you think you might have perhaps have genned up on this a bit more, Natalie Bennett?
I think that we're talking about a whole range of issues.
No,
here
but you
morning.
personally, might you have genned up a little, might you have made into this perhaps a little more in hindsight?
Well, what we're talking about is a whole range of issues this morning, ranging from the economy, from the NHS, homes,
Yes, I've only time
climate.
for two, unfortunately. I wish we had more time.
The British lawmaker has quit Parliament in the wake of a drug and prostitution scandal. Lord Saul is facing a criminal investigation after a video came out this weekend purportedly showing him taking drugs with prostitutes.
That's him snorting what looks like cocaine with a couple of prostitutes. Lounging in the prostitute's broth, the 69-year-old married father brags about having more than a dozen marital affairs.
Okay. There's obviously a lot to unpack there. The cocaine, the prostitutes, the orange bra, which somehow seems to be a perfect fit for a 69-year-old married father. I'm not saying what he did was right. I'm saying he knows his own body. Good for him. Now, Lord Saul, seen here dressed as Jeffrey Dahmer, dressed as Santa Claus, was forced to resign as Deputy Speaker of the House of Lords after the Sun's video was released. And it wasn't just what he was doing in the video that was controversial, it's what he was saying.
We could do with some nice little young Asian lady, I would have thought tonight, but never mind. Sort of look innocent, but you know they're whores.
Okay. Ignoring the obvious racism and sexism for a moment, I'll say this for Lord Saul. We could have done with a nice Asian lady, but never mind, is an incredibly polite way of registering a complaint at a coke-fueled orgy. The guy has manners. But, as we learned elsewhere in the footage, Lord Saul is nothing if not spectacularly polite.
So you want to get some coke? Well, I mean, yeah, enjoy it a little.
No one enjoys cocaine a little. Cocaine is like ISIS or Insane Clown Posse. It's not for everyone, but the people who like it to a life-destroying extent. Call your parents, Sean, they don't know what's happening to you. And look, we don't have time, I'm afraid, to get into every aspect of this video, such as the fact that Saul snorted cocaine through a £5 note, meaning the cocaine had to traverse the Queen's face en route to his nose, or that he reportedly insisted on turning a framed photo of his wife face down on a table before snorting cocaine off the prostitute, and I'm quoting the tabloids here, boobs. And it's a good thing he did, otherwise he would have heard his wife's nagging voice in his head the whole time. You're spilling cocaine everywhere, dear. There's an extra bit you missed on the boob. Waste not, want not. Now, until he resigned, there was actually one more glorious tidbit.
The Telegraph reports that he could become the first peer to be expelled from the House under new rules that he helped put in place.
He wrote the rules! The only way this could be any more ironic is if he wrote them on the back of a picture of his wife, which he then rolled up to snort cocaine off a prostitute's boob. It's just so great. Now, let me give you some quick context on the House of Lords. Even stupider than this story. It consists of nearly 800 members, almost all of whom got lifetime appointments from Prime Ministers, who meet to review laws passed by the House of Commons in a room so gaudy it looks like the tomb Liberace's dog was buried in. These are, by definition, a privileged group, as you can tell from their ridiculous titles, such as, and these are all real, the Lord Ponsonby of Shalbreed and Baron Soulsby of Swaffham Prior. And yet, they can claim a daily allowance for attendance and travel from the taxpayer, something that sticks in your throat a bit. In fact, one of Lord Saul's guests actually asked him about this in the video.
200 a day? So how, that is, if my work gets me 200 a day to buy lunch,
is not lunch, lovey darling, it's paying for this.
Oh, this guy is incredible. Oh, don't worry, lovey darling. I'm not wasting that money on lunch. I'm wasting it on cocaine and, as I said before, insufficiently Asian whores.
If this exit poll is right, Andrew, I will publicly eat my hat on your programme.
Have you got a hat?
No, but I'll get one, especially for the
Can
occasion.
I get the hat?
You can get the hat, providing it's made of marzipan.
I won't eat my hat, but I will eat my kilt if they get...
If they get 50
We're running out of hats.
That's a hat
here.
and a kilt.
Right. He's got more hats than he knows
That's
what
a
to do
hat and a
with.
kilt. It may well be imprecise. Likely to be imprecise. Is his word.
Oh, likely to be imprecise.
That's what. Those are his words. I have them in quotations. Ask John Curtis. Is it likely to be imprecise?
Mr. Balls, thank you very much for joining us. First of all, there's been this story going the rounds on Twitter and all the rest of it that you've been defeated. Have you heard anything about your result yet or not?
David, the ballot boxes haven't even arrived in the count. And they've got to be counted, and then we'll get the results. So I think maybe you should spend less time on Twitter and more time reporting the results when they're actually declared.
This is the declaration of the result of the election for the Morley and Outwood constituency after a recount. I, Tom Reardon, Acting Returning Officer for the Morley and Outwood constituency, declare that the total number of votes given to each candidate was as follows. Balls, Ed, Labour and Cooperative Party, 18,354. Craven, Arnie, Yorkshire First, 479. Jews, David Allen, UK Independence Party, UKIP, 7,951. Hemingway, Martin Francis, Green Party, 1,264. Jenkins, Andrea Marie, the Conservative Party candidate, 18,776. Taylor, Rebecca Elizabeth, Liberal Democrats, 1,426. Therefore, I give public notice that Andrea Marie Jenkins is duly elected as the Conservative Party candidate, Member of Parliament for the Morley and Outwood constituency.
So we better get started. First, with our exit poll, which even now I can't reveal until Big Ben strikes 10. Remember, this is an exit poll, very carefully calculated, not necessarily on the nail. But here it is, 10 o'clock. And we are saying the Conservatives are the largest party. And here are the figures which we have. Quite remarkable, this exit poll. The Conservatives on 316. That's up 9 since the last election in 2010. Ed Miliband for Labour, 77 behind him at 239, down 19 from the last election. And the other parties, the Liberal Democrats and the Scottish National Party. Look at the Scottish National Party. 58 for Nicola Sturgeon. That's every seat but one in Scotland, taken by the SNP. Nick Clegg for the Liberal Democrats on 10. That's down 47 from the last election. UKIP, we're saying on 2. Treat that with caution, because it's a new entry, in a sense, in this game. It's difficult to work out in places where UKIP hasn't stood before what it'll be like, but that's what we're saying at the moment. 2 for UKIP. So that's the remarkable scene that our exit poll is revealing. We shall discover when the first results start coming in how accurate it is. But if that is the story, it is a quite sensational story. Nick.
Sensational, David. An extraordinary night if that exit poll is right. Just even as you were reading out those figures, you sensed cries of joy from Conservatives, gloom on the faces of the Labour Party, ecstasy amongst the SNP, misery amongst Liberal Democrats.